Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm just going to be going over some things I found locally but haven't posted any of my videos yet. First we're going to go over some otters. This family of otters was fishing. Most of the lake was frozen, but you could see they have an ice hole there, and as I watched them they would pop up. There were three of them, and they were catching a fish just every couple of minutes, so they weren't having any trouble catching fish. You can actually see there in the first photo there's a fish in his mouth. And I guess that's a tip, is if you see a hole in the ice, that might be a good spot to watch for the otters. They were staying under for quite a long duration, so you have to watch that hole for a little bit to see one pop up and come up to eat one of the fish. Another way to know if there's otters using an area would be to look for their tracks or scat. Here's a picture of an otter track, and you can see it's got a little bit of webbing there between the toes. And this is something that often occurs in the same types of habitats where you might see an otter and you could potentially get confused with as far as the tracks goes, and that's a raccoon. Very occasionally, and only early in the morning, I stumble across moose on my morning walks. And here's one of those moose here, pretty typical of what I see. Very rare that one runs away. Usually they just kind of stay and stare at me. I'm usually moving slowly and trying to be somewhat quietly. So this moose knew I was there, but he just stood there in the middle of the trail until I eventually turned around and went a different direction. And here's a picture of a weasel scat. You can see it's small, thin, and twisty. I found this while I was out with David Brown's Wildlife Services. He provides tracking services in Massachusetts and has been doing wildlife tracking since 1986. So if you want to get in contact with him, you can go to dbwildlife.com. This is actually something I found back in the late fall. This tree, after tapping on it, I saw a couple of flying squirrels come out of it. And I'll just leave you with a couple of landscape photos from the Quabbin area in Massachusetts.